In today's video, we're going to survey and briefly summarize the Book of Haggai. Then afterwards, as always, I'll share some helpful resources, so stick around until the end. As for the author, Haggai chapter 1, verse 1 identifies the author of the Book of Haggai as the prophet Haggai. As for the date of writing, the Book of Haggai was written approximately 520 BC. Now, for the purpose of writing. Haggai sought to challenge the people of God concerning their priorities. He called them to reverence and glorify God by building the temple in spite of the local and official opposition. Haggai called them not to be discouraged because this temple would not be quite as richly decorated as Solomon's. He exhorted them to turn from the uncleanness of their ways and to trust in God's sovereign power. The Book of Haggai is a reminder of the problems the people of God faced at this time, how the people courageously trusted in God, and how God provided for their needs. Here are some key verses. Haggai chapter 1, verse 4. Is it a time for you yourselves to be living in your paneled houses while this house remains a ruin? Haggai chapter 1, verses 5 through 6. Now this is what the Lord Almighty says. Give careful thought to your ways. You have planted much, but have harvested little. You eat, but never have enough. You drink, but never have your fill. You put on clothes, but are not warm. You earn wages, only to put them in a purse with holes in it. Haggai chapter 2, verse 9. The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace, declares the Lord Almighty. Now for a brief summary. Will the people of God reconsider their priorities, take courage, and act on the basis of God's promises? God sought to warn the people to heed his words. Not only did God warn them, but he also offered promises through his servant Haggai to motivate them to follow him. Because the people of God reversed their priorities and failed to put God in first place in their lives, Judah was sent into Babylonian exile. In response to Daniel's prayer and in fulfillment of God's promises, God directed Cyrus, the Persian king, to allow the Jews in exile to go back to Jerusalem. A group of Jews returned to their land with great joy, put God first in their lives, worshipped him, and began to rebuild the Temple of Jerusalem without the aid of the local people who lived in Israel. Their courageous faith was met with opposition from the local people, as well as the Persian government for approximately 15 years. As for foreshadowings, as with most of the books of the minor prophets, Haggai ends with promises of restoration and blessing. In the last verse, Haggai chapter 2, verse 23, God uses a distinctly messianic title in reference to Zerubbabel, my servant. Compare 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 18, and Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 24 through 25. Through Haggai, God promises to make him like a signet ring, which was a symbol of honor, authority, and power, somewhat like a king's scepter used to seal letters and decrees. Zerubbabel, as God's signet ring, represents the house of David and the resumption of the messianic line interrupted by the exile. Zerubbabel reestablished the Davidic line of kings, which would culminate in the millennial reign of Christ. Zerubbabel appears in the line of Christ on both Joseph's side and Mary's side, Matthew chapter 1, verse 12, and Luke chapter 3, verse 27. Here's some practical application. The Book of Haggai draws attention to common problems most people face even today. Haggai asks us first to examine our priorities, to see if we are more interested in our own pleasures than doing the work of God. Second, to reject a defeatist attitude when we run into opposition or discouraging circumstances. Third, to confess our failures and seek to live pure lives before God. Fourth, to act courageously for God because we have the assurance that he is with us always and is in full control of our circumstances. And fifth, to rest secure in God's hands, knowing that he will abundantly bless us as we faithfully serve him. Want to learn more? Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Visit gotquestions.org for more great content and check out the details section below this video. There you'll find one book I recommend along with several links to related questions. If you'd like to learn about Bible Munch, or if you're interested in bite-sized devotionals, subscribe to Bible Munch on YouTube. It's linked right here. Now remember, got questions? The Bible has answers. We'll help you find them.